Slow, alright? Follow my pace, please. I will be the slowest. Alright? Let's go. The journey starts in the Fiordland region of South New Zealand, a place where it rains roughly 190 days a year. The Routeburn Track is 32 kilometers long, and our plan is to hike it over 3 days. After reading up on it online, I figure it's going to be an easy walk. All we have to do is put one foot in front of the other and reach the campsite before sunset. We are spending our nights at designated campsites, which I had to book 5 months in advance. The Routeburn Track is one of New Zealand's great walks, meaning we can't just show up and hike it. In fact, I am stuck waiting in an online queue just to get our spots the minute reservations open. 3 kilometers in, we reach Lake Holden, where we take a break and cook some lunch.
Let's go!
As we push further away from the shelter, the trail gets harder. The incline grows steeper and the hiking gets harder. And we start passing exposed ledges where a single bad step on the wrong side of the track will end the hike instantly. After 4 hours, we finally reach Fiordland Falls, a massive 174 meters waterfall roaring at 1,000 meters above sea level. It crashes down so close to the trail that the wind and spray hit us from the side. This waterfall is supposed to be the halfway mark to our campsite. But by this point, we have already been hiking for 6 hours. 6 hours and we are only about halfway there. We still have about 5 kilometers to go. The kids are exhausted, and I started to panic thinking about the sun going down. I have only brought 2 headlamps to use around the campsite at night. I never expected us to be hiking in the dark. On this track, there are only 2 ways out: the end of the trail or turning back to the car park we started from. But there is a problem. Our car is being relocated to the end of the track by a shuttle company, meaning it probably isn't at the start anymore. And with absolutely zero cell phone reception out here, there is no way to call and check. As the afternoon fades, the trail empties out. We see fewer and fewer hikers. I keep thinking, if one of us twists an ankle or breaks a leg, how are we going to get help? After hiking for 8 hours and 37 minutes, we finally spotted a building. We are safe, guys!
Yeah!
We are safe for tonight! Come hug, family hug. Papa is so proud of you. We made it. I can't see
his mouth? You're not
No.
alive, okay?
We reached finally. Ah, I'm so scared too. I think we get it at daylight. Let's go. Let's.
Thank you, legs.
Guys, I need to change out your socks, alright? Don't get yourself wet.
My legs.
Oh no, this is not ours. Just keep walking, just keep walking, just keep walking. It isn't a park hut we are expecting to see. It was a private lodge. The official park brochures we used to plan the trip completely leaves out the fact that this private lodge even exists. Luckily, the actual park hut and campsites are just a few minutes further down the trail. We quickly set up camp, have a hot dinner, and send the exhausted kids to sleep. The next day, we set off towards Harry's Saddle, and it doesn't take long for us to meet our first challenge of the day. Right at the outlet of Lake Mackenzie, the track is completely flooded, the water flowing right across the path. The kids think it is fun, walking into the cool water, But all I can think about is them slipping, falling, and completely soaking their dry camp clothes and sleeping bags. Out here, the reminders of dangers are everywhere. We see parts of the track that have been completely washed away by rain. In fact, back in 2020, a massive landslide smashed right through the area where we had lunch yesterday. The hikers inside had to be airlifted out by helicopters. And now we are stepping right into the high alpine zone, the most dangerous section of the entire track. This place is defined by sheer drop-offs and intense exposure to the wind and rain. Just the day before we started our hike, this exact section of the mountain was completely closed due to gale force winds and heavy rain. The climb up to Harry's Saddle is punishing. It's steep and grueling for the kids. But the views are spectacular. And it isn't just the landscape that blows me away. I started noticing a change in my kids. On past hikes, whenever things got tough, they got grouchy and agitated. But not for this hike. They struggle quietly and keep pushing themselves forward. After 4 hours of climbing, we finally reached Harry's Saddle, with 6 kilometers left to go. We had lunch, rest, and prepare for a 550-meter descent down to Rootburn's Flats.
How's everyone feeling?
Our campsite for tonight.
Wait,
I have so much more energy thanks to that.
go.
For 2 straight days, we have been grinding uphill.
Let's go.
Crossing over Harry's Saddle doesn't just mean we have officially reached the highest point of the track. It marks the moment we finally start heading downhill. But dropping down past Harry's Saddle, things got a bit sketchy. The path narrows down, hugging a cliff face. This little ledge is the most hair-raising, sketchy section of the entire journey. We have to time our crossing for when the wind dies down. Once we cleared that tight spot, I finally feel a massive wave of relief. The trail opens up into a wide valley. It's easier on the feet, a lot safer, and I can take my mind off the danger and take in the scenery. We barely see any other hikers at this hour, and the serenity of the mountains is beautiful. Eventually, we cross the tree line right by Routeburn Force Hut, making the official end of the alpine section. We head back into the shelter of the forest for a steep, rocky downhill track. At 6:46 p.m., after 8 hours and 51 minutes, we make it to camp.
We made it to Routeburn's flat.
Wanted to scold my husband for making it.
Look at the campsite. Is it beautiful? Okay.
That's it.
It feels amazing to take our shoes off, set up camp, and sit back together with a hot dinner as the mountains quiet down after a long, exhausting day. Knowing that tomorrow is just an easy downhill walk to the car park. For the past 2 days, we are confined to tight forest track, steep alpine climbs, and narrow cliff ledges where we have to watch every single step. But out here, the space opens up. Just a massive, peaceful meadow framed by mountains. Out here, the kids can roam around freely and safely. For the first time since we started, the weight of my decision to bring the kids out here completely disappears.
9:10.
The hike out is incredibly easy. Just about 5 kilometers of wide, beautifully maintained gravel path.
We rock.
It's a relaxing cruise to finish off our hike.
Wait, no what? Waiting, come on.
Let's go, let's go.
I have asked myself since, if I had known the exact dangers beforehand, would I still have brought my kids on this hike? Maybe not. but I am so glad we completed it safely.
We are out after 3 days.
Last time to see this, alright guys.
Because the greatest beauty of this trek wasn't the sweeping mountain views. It was the courage and resilience I discovered in my kids.
Watch out, alright.
More than anything, it was the
Yeah, it's beautiful
uninterrupted
actually.
time together as a family, the shared memories of intense fear on the trail, balanced by the joy and laughter we shared at camp. We faced the mountains together, and that ultimate feeling of accomplishment made the entire journey unforgettable.
Bye-bye, Routeburn.
A few days later, I read a quote that says, "I don't think a climb is really worthwhile unless you have been scared out of your wits at least twice." Reading those words, I smiled. By that definition, our hike is definitely worthwhile, and it gives us a memory we will cherish for the rest of our lives.
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire. Never the same. Whenever you're calling my name, I'm taking my sweet time. Hey, whatever the plan, I know I'm holding the best of me out of my hand. I know you'll always understand. Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right.